Now, Arsen Ostrovsky is an international human rights lawyer and was one representative for Israel at the Knesset hearing that you saw him asking Twitter's representative for an explanation. And he now joins me here in studio with more. Arsen, a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So give us a little bit of context. How did this all come to a head?
There's a few things that came together. You mentioned in your introduction that there was a campaign originating in the UK, No Safe Space for Jew Hate campaign. So you had that. You had a lot of interest recently on the growing anti-Semitism online, which is becoming a very serious problem, only exacerbated by the corona pandemic. And if you look at it in terms of the context of the US situation with the whole big debate for freedom of speech. So all of these three things came together to a head at the Knesset last week.
And of course, your name was even mentioned in a Fox News article. It was picked up on Fox and Friends. They're talking about it all across the United States. Why do you think it's gained so much traction?
Look, I think a lot of those issues that I just mentioned at the beginning, but also, it's the image of the Twitter representative speaking before the Knesset to a room full of Israelis and saying that calls for genocide and our destruction is a legitimate form of political expression. I think that was just jarring. It also highlighted really these gross double standards where, as I mentioned in my question, where they flagged President Trump's tweets, but not Khamenei's tweets, literally calling for our destruction. So you combine all of that, and you combine that with the whole debate about free speech, with the overreach of the tech companies and social media giants in the US, the election coming up.
Sure, whether there's a political agenda at play as well. So anti-Semitism online, as you've mentioned, is nothing new, but talk us through how it really is showing up online. Where is it and in what forms?
Look, it's a vicious thing online, and it comes in different forms and against different targets. It manifests itself in attacks on Jews, in direct incitement for violence, as we've seen by the Iranian leaders. You can see it in Holocaust denial, where people are openly questioning the Holocaust. You see groups that are affiliated with the Hamas, with the Hezbollah. Hezbollah, for example, put out a statement saying that they support more or less the Twitter's response, defending the Iranian leaders' call for our genocide. You have that. You have the BDS movement, which is thriving online. You have now also a lot of conspiracy theories arising out of the corona pandemic, targeting or blaming Jews and Israelis. So it comes in a lot of different shapes and forms, but it's united by, I suppose, by sheer hatred both of Jews and of the Jewish state.
So there's enough there to build a case, and we heard from the White House press secretary that the US will be taking action. So what happens now?
Look, a few things. There's a very strong foundation and base for actual action to be taken. The US has already indicated they are looking into it. Two things they're looking at immediately. One is whether Twitter has actually breached the sanctions on Iran by allowing Khamenei to publish these threats online. They're looking at whether Twitter should be regulated as a publisher, meaning that they could be liable for civil damages. But what I would like to see is one step further, is in order to actually determine how to act, we need to, first of all, identify what is anti-Semitism, and what they need to do is immediately adopt and implement the IHRA, the Holocaust Remembrance Line's definition of anti-Semitism.
Right.
As a first step to identifying what it actually is.
Well, the fight is certainly not over, and of course, thank you for the work that you're doing. Arsen Ostrovsky, thank you.
Thank you.